Today I've got a couple of players that I think deserve a rank up, and I want to show you what deserving a rank up really looks like, as opposed to the standard, I think I deserve a rank up, when they actually don't. But first, our sponsor for this video, DMarket, who have released a new update to allow you to more easily choose to trade via market bots, peer-to-peer exchange, or directly sell. DMarket has a variety of skins for different games with perfect prices very often lower than any other site or even Steam. They accept a variety of different payment methods, even PayPal withdrawal, and you can easily find the skins you want with their sorting filters to find the best discount, or if you're unsure, they can show you the skins you can afford. If you know what you want, you can even set up a target for when that item does go on sale. DMarket is your place to buy skins cheap. Head over to their site with the link in the description. And to begin with, we've got Loka P here. We'll have one more a little bit later, but on round 3, he's got a Deagle, and he is the A site anchor for his team. Now, he's going to go towards default with the Deagle, nothing too spectacular about that. But then he's just gonna, shoot a few people in the head. But the most important part is he isn't overextending for the kills. He got a kill. He's calling the rotates over. He's looking for more. He's looking to hold on to the bomb site, but he's giving his team time to rotate in the meantime. And that means they had plenty of time to get over to the site and all die long before he actually died. He's the second last player on his team to actually die with the 4K. And that type of surviving on the bomb site while getting kills is key when you're alone on a bomb site especially. Now, I said he deserves a rank up. That doesn't mean he plays perfectly. In fact, there's one or two things I think he does that really do hold him back a little bit from ranking up quicker. And so we're going to go into this round here. He's going to initially smoke ramp and then miss his flash mid, which I don't really love. And then he's going to play from triple in a really awkward manner. His teammates making a ton of contact in mid. In fact, at this point, they really should know all 5 players are there. And this is where pushing into ramp or Palace is what you need to be doing, because otherwise you're going to be constantly paranoid. Now, it looks like maybe he doesn't realize all 5 were there. He thinks 4, there could be a lurker, so he's constantly worried about his flank at all times when he easily could have just gotten into ramp and been in a much better position. In fact, he probably should have just died there, and he certainly shouldn't be able to get a 3K from this type of spot. To contrast that, if you look at his opponent here from the second half, you're going to see what this should look like. So missing a bit of utility reminds me a little bit of Loka P. Then he's going to eventually make his way over into the A bomb site. They're in a 4v5, so it makes sense for him to try and rotate over to A. Then his teammate's going to start getting contact on mid and B, and he knows he has to get some amount of control to bring the round back. Now, you don't need to be at a disadvantage to do this. However, you need less pressure in middle for this to make sense if you are at a disadvantage. That's going to allow him to get into Palace. Unfortunately, though, he goes into a bit of an odd position in Palace, and he's worried about the flank. You can be worried about that type of flank, but usually it's more important to ensure that if they do come through the angle, they're going to come through 90% of the time. When they go A, you get the double instead of just 1. So if we skip a few rounds forward, we're going to notice again, the utility he's throwing on the site is not perfect. He should be opening up with a molly generally. If his opponents were going for a fast A hit, this would be very problematic for him. And that type of thing is actually a pretty easy fix if he's playing the site generally well. Otherwise, what I don't like is, again, he's going to not push up when he knows 4 players are middle. If you've got 4 mid, only 1 on one of the sides, the odds are you can go aggressive and get some control rather than getting yourself sandwiched most of the time if they try and go A. But following that into the 1v2 here, nice little movement, and I think he plays this quite well. So initially, he allows the player to get over to market, unfortunately, but he probably didn't think the guy would try and cross like that. Maybe he thought there was already a player in market. His teammate will die, and then he'll play this 1v2 to perfection, posts up, catches the player swinging, and of course his opponents give him opportunities they shouldn't, but he plays that quite well. So on the CT side, he was holding the site in specific situations when opponents were present very well. He was playing to the fundamentals of holding a bomb site, but his utility and his aggressiveness weren't quite there. Now on T side, he isn't exactly the most aggressive player, and you can see he kind of mollies his teammate out of position and then clears an angle. His teammate's already more or less cleared here, so his actual awareness isn't perfect. However, he will make a very smart play here in this 3v3. So his teammate goes up cat, gets killed, but spots out 2 players, and with that knowledge, he's going to make his way over to hold outside of market. I love this play because it allows his teammates to actually go aggressive over towards the A side, and he's locking down the rotates. What I also really like is he doesn't wait the entire time. He peeks out and grabs a kill there to draw some pressure onto himself and potentially rotate the A player off if he hasn't yet hurt his teammates. It also gives him some time to actually move over and support his team. It also gives him some time to turn around and whiff a pretty easy kill. Now, the final thing this player does that I think makes his stats better than they are, because his stats aren't perfect if you were just to look at them, he's willing to lead in on an entry where he's likely to be the initial death. You know, he's not worried about the potential that he's going to die here. He goes in, and one of the things people don't understand, oftentimes your team will not have a player willing to be the first entry. But typically, in my experience, if you entry in yourself, your team will follow, hoping to trade off of your death. So you can kind of lead your team in, and although it results in you dying, if you stop, probably your whole team will stop, and then you're going to have trouble actually getting anything done. So he doesn't get a kill here, but that does up his stats in my mind. If he's got a 0.7 FPR and he's willing to go in first, I think that 0.7 FPR means a little bit more. So we'll take a look at a round here from Koi, and the idea isn't that he's unwilling to go aggressive. I just think he's unwilling to take the round into his hands, and if you are better than the game you're in, if you do deserve a rank up, you should probably want to do that a lot, because it's going to allow you to carry your team and limit variability. So as he gets the initial kill there, usually if you're playing with a full team in a coordinated environment, you might want to be hesitant to continue forward because they could easily have 3 playing B there, and 5v4 win rates are often going to be something like 70 to 80%. And so you can play a little bit delayed knowing that you have an advantage regardless. However, in pugs, oftentimes win rates in 5v4s are more like 55 or 60% from what I've seen. So what you want to do more so in my eyes is take risks that make sense, especially when it allows you to be the dictator of how the round goes. So in this case, if he entries forward and he gets the kill on the second player there, if he goes overly aggressive, he can just win the round for his team without them having to potentially screw things up, which adds in a bit of variance. The more your team wins based on you, the less variance you're going to have. So eventually, they do go for the push in, but initially they go for the delayed smoke in CT. They don't immediately go through. One of his teammates dies in the meantime, going for his own kill, and the rotates are already there. Now, luckily for him, his team does actually get the initial kill, and they're going to hold the after plant fairly effectively as well. However, it did require one of his teammates to do something well, whereas if he had gone in initially, it would have been more on him. Look, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't play passive or shouldn't set your teammates up for success, but I am saying if you think you deserve a rank up, and based on what I've seen in this game so far, Koi probably does, in spots where the aggressive play and the passive play are close, but the aggressive play puts the round into your hands, I think you should almost universally take the more aggressive play, even if it's a little bit worse. So Koi's going to throw a nice flash for his teammate there to get aggressive and grab a kill. Fantastic support play, and that's something he did for the majority of this game. And you know, playing passively and still being top fragging is usually a pretty good sign, but later in the round he does something I'm not a huge fan of. So he's peeking over towards arch side here, holding the smoke as his teammates are in a 3v1, and what I don't love is that he makes this contact and initially immediately falls back. Now, in theory, that's a great play. Spotting out a player in a 3v1 without dying is one of the best things you can do in order to actually give your team a round win, almost gifted over. However, in the case that you're playing in a pug, oftentimes your teammates will do things that are pretty risky that can just throw the round. You can see his teammate coming bottom middle here is a bit aggressive. It's not a bad play, but it is a play that could have gone wrong, and oftentimes what what'll happen is that player will do something like that, miss, and then die, and then you have two players rotating off of A in a very rough spot, while that initial engagement he had taken on Arch, if he had taken it a little bit differently perhaps, would have been a very likely kill as well. The idea here being, when you leave things in the hands of your teammates, you're going to have a lot of variance because you're going to have a different team every game. But if you leave things in your own hands and take control yourself, you're going to overcome that variance a lot more easily. Now, to show you exactly what this looks like, we can look at the very next round here. So Koi tossing some utility on Banana, very standard stuff. Eventually, they're going to fall back off, back over to the bomb site, and Koi is going to be playing in here towards New Box. Now, everything he does in this hold is pretty much as good as it's going to get. He throws the smoke down to give himself a little bit of maneuverability so we can multi-kill. He's not going too aggressive. He's waiting for that offer to rotate over and throw a flash so he can peek out off of it, which is exactly what you want. Although the flash does come fairly late, he gets a kill off of it, and he'll get a second kill as well with a pretty nice shot. Now, into the 3v2, things go a little bit differently. He initially has to go for the reload. His team is in a very good position. Koi will get caught by a player coming through CT, and then that happens. Now, in this case, there's not really too much Koi could have done differently. However, that is a case of it's left to your teammates, and they fumble it. And that's going to happen a lot, especially if you think you're better than your rank. Look, there's going to be a level of self-awareness necessary here. If you're worse than your rank, then you probably don't want to do this stuff. However, if you definitely are better than your rank, the easiest way to overcome variance, which is what most people think of as elo hell, they lose games while playing well because every team is different. Playing more aggressive and taking the rounds into your hands is usually going to be a good idea, and that's something Koi missed out on, especially the previous player a little bit, but not quite as much in my eyes, and that's why he's already ranked his way up. Also, Koi just doesn't play too much Faceit, and probably if he played a little bit more consistently, he would already be level 10. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and I'll catch you next time.